Happy Wednesday, everybody. So big news. I'm going to do an internship in Wisconsin called Spiritus, which means I'm going to be moving to Wisconsin. So right now I'm in the middle of packing. And I tell you, this wasn't an easy choice to make, because I kind of wanted to stay in Oklahoma. Mostly because recently I've been thinking about how it would be nice to set down some roots somewhere. It would be nice to, get founded, to get a job that wasn't an internship and start settling. Spiritus internship looks like it's going to be a great fit for me, and I'm super excited to move to Wisconsin and meet all these people, and that's going to be great! It also means that the whole idea of setting down roots, well, that's not happening yet. That's not happening for a while. I had an interview with Spiritus last Monday, as in about 9 days ago, and the interview went really well. And it was fun because, I enjoyed talking to them. It seems like I'm going to get along really well with the Spiritus methodology and spirituality. But at the same time, I've been applying for jobs all over the place, and I had 8 open job applications at the time. I was always asking people to pray for me when I was interviewing for other jobs, jobs that would mean that I wouldn't have to move and jobs that would mean that I'd be setting down roots somewhere. I specifically did not ask people to pray for me before this interview for Spiritus. But the interview went really well, and they told me, hey, why don't you pray about it, and we'll pray about it as well, and by the end of the week, we'll make a decision about whether you should join the team. So the next day was Tuesday, and I went to Holy Family Cathedral for midday mass. Now, Holy Family Cathedral is significant because one of my open applications was for Holy Family Cathedral, and I was in contact with Father Jovita. I was hoping that Father Jovita would celebrate mass that day, and, I could talk to him about where we were with the application and continue moving that discussion along. Well, Father Jovita did not celebrate that mass that day, and Instead, I saw at Mass somebody that I've never seen before, but that I know. His name's Spencer, a different Spencer than you've seen in past videos. Spencer's a person that I know through the Totus Tuus network. Last year, one of my teammates, Emily, the one who should have been Sundayed, she had him as a teammate the year before. Does that all make sense? That backstory isn't super important for this video right here, so ignore it if it's confusing. But Spencer is somebody who did Spiritus last year, and somebody that I was friends with on Facebook. But he's also someone that I've never seen in real life before. So him walking in was kind of a surprise, especially because he was wearing his Spiritus t-shirt. So I saw him walk in and I was like, hey God, are you trying to tell me something? I was also reading from the Gospel of Matthew as I was getting ready for Mass, and I was reading that passage where Jesus says that foxes have dens, birds have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Of course, reading that at the same time as I was praying about, hey God, Spiritus looks really great, but I'd like to set down roots somewhere. That was ironic, too. But ultimately what helped me most in making my decision was some thoughts that I heard in a podcast recently, a podcast about dating. And the man on the podcast was talking about how for a season of our lives we are single, and that's a gift. And it's important to recognize the greatness of the gift of singleness in this time where I am single. Now, marriage is beautiful, and I'm hoping to be married one day, and, there's all sorts of blessings that come with that. But if I'm so wrapped up in the thought of all the goods that come from the married life that I forget to appreciate those goods that I have now as a single man, that I'm missing out. So in a very simple way, the conflict that I had was I didn't want to let go of the idea of settling down. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, right? Not necessarily everyone is called to a life where they have deep roots in a single place. Some people are called to kind of always be on a continuous pilgrimage. But it's not a bad thing to be settled down. And so even though the yearnings that I had were for good things, sometimes it's just not the right time for those things. If as a single person I am so focused on the idea of I want to get married and yada 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 yada, those are all good things, right? But there's so much I can take advantage of as a single person right now. I have so much more time on my hands than I will have if I get married and have a family. I have so much time. Things that I'm trying to do, like working on my graduate degree, making these YouTube videos. I also want to write a book. I like to organize events, all these different things. They're all great things, but one day, if I'm married, then I probably won't have time to do all those things, and I'll have to let a couple of those things go. So all that is something to think about at another time, but in a parallel way, appreciating where I am and where God's calling me to now is the lesson that I pulled away from all that. Appreciating that settling down and establishing my life is a great thing, but it's not necessarily what God is asking for me right now. Right now he's calling me to Spiritus. Right now he's calling me to leave my boats behind. He's calling me to drop my nets. He's calling me to pack up all my things once more. And if this all doesn't fit into my car, well, maybe leave some of these things behind. Don't worry, Patches, you'll definitely make the cut. Dan, probably you too, but we'll see. So the question I've been wondering about lately has been, well, if God isn't leading me in the direction of putting down roots, what is it that he wants me to focus on instead? I think it's a time for me to focus a little bit more on God, in the sense that my relationship with God is really important, right? I claim to be a Catholic and I claim to love God, and yet it's so hard to just have a simple conversation with him. I have to work to chisel out time to spend with him. If I love somebody, why is it so hard to do that? I mean, and of course there's answers to that. We're weak as human beings, the flesh is weak, the spirit is willing, all those sorts of things, great. But what an opportunity I have in front of me where I'm going to be living in a community where my life is very structured and I can focus on the simple things like my prayer life, like sharing my prayer life, growing in my faith and sharing my faith, and also growing in trust, simply recognizing that God knows what he's doing. God's taking good care of me in my life, and I trust that he's going to continue to do that. Alright, so for what it's worth, that's what I've been praying about lately. Keep me in your prayers, guys. I pray for you all, and I hope that y'all have a great week. God bless and ciao. Last year I spent winter in Idaho and Boston, and then I moved to Oklahoma for the summer. So that was fun. And now this year I'm spending summer in Oklahoma and I'm moving to Wisconsin for the winter. Cheers to that.